Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Arsenal have lost away from home at St James's Park, which is a cauldron these days. 2-0 to Newcastle, who look really good, don't they? But Arsenal fell apart. Arsenal absolutely fell apart in this game. And I wasn't going to do a video, as you can tell by my hair. A long day, guys. Been on a train for 10 hours. Newcastle fans, don't get angry about this, but I went to Sunderland today. And now I'm back down south. But I then had a shower, started to watch the game with my boy, and it's a really good game. And there's a lot of talking points here, and we're going to dive into them. And the biggest one, the main question, the one for the comments, so dive in there once you hit the like button and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Have Arsenal, if they finish in 5th, have they overachieved? Or have they underperformed? Because this is a talking point that we often chat about on the pod, the discussion about bottling it. There will be numerous videos on YouTube over the next few hours about how Arsenal have completely capitulated, combusted. And actually, there's some elements of truth about that because I would say they have fallen apart. But, you know, injuries are obviously a part of that. A thin squad is part of that. I saw a tweet, someone saying, what do you expect? This is inevitable when you have a thin squad, inexperience, and no leadership. I would disagree with some of that. Thin squad, yes. Inexperience, yes. Lack of leadership, I wouldn't go that far. But what I would say, and this is what I said a couple of weeks ago, and if you look at the last 11 games, they've lost the last 6 of those. But also had some really great victories in there as well. West Ham, Man United as well. This, for me, is a squad that is thin. And I think they've been hurt by that. And I think we knew that might be the case. But sometimes you've got to step back to go forwards. So I think we all made our peace with what Arteta was doing in terms of the people that he wanted to sort of make way and let go. And don't worry, Newcastle fans, we'll talk about how good Newcastle were in this game. We'll talk about both teams. But we've got to start with Arsenal because they have fallen apart here. But in terms of leadership, I wouldn't say that. I just think they're underbaked. I really do. And I think as time has gone on, they have frayed mentally. And that's what happened in this game. They had absolutely no control over the game at any point. And there's a few things I want to show you. First of all, I just thought Newcastle sort of dominated the ball a lot more in the right areas as well. And in particular, if you look here, I was just looking at the stats, the passing stats. The top, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in terms of touches. Then it's Granit Xhaka. The control you can see from that is with Newcastle United, who earned it through a few things, through the fact that they had a lovely structure about them. But they also, if you look at those two teams, man for man, we can have a quick look at it now. And I've been saying this for a couple of weeks as well. I'm looking at that Arsenal team, and that's not a Champions League team. It's just not. You know, Tomiyasu comes off injured. That doesn't help. Ben White, you could see he wasn't right. You could see he couldn't go through the gears in terms of making those runs. Nuno Tavares is struggling, is not a Champions League footballer right now. Granit Xhaka, for all his good moments, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen him talk about the game afterwards. Gary Neville and Carragher have kind of ripped him apart a little bit afterwards when he's gone, we didn't have the balls to come here and play. It doesn't matter what age you are, after quite a leading question from the reporter. And he gave a kind of honest answer. And I'm often happy to throw Xhaka under the bus. I don't think he's good enough for the Champions League generally. And I think he needs a lot of help around him a lot of the time. But he has had a good season. And he is an honest guy. And also, you think about how hard this team would have worked and the emotions that they would have had. And then he's got to come out and talk. And then he's honest, and people have a go for Harry Maguire for not being honest. So it's just like, you can't win, can you? So he'll get some heat for that. But I thought that was a little bit unfair. But when we talk about control, and that's what I think Arsenal have lost. They've lost momentum. And they've lost control. And it was the control that they lost first. Because if you think about the West Ham game, not having Thomas Partey, more so I think than Kieran Tierney actually, but losing Thomas Partey has absolutely killed him. Because Mohamed El Neni, although he's had a few decent games, just doesn't provide it just doesn't provide that quality on the ball. And I still think when I talk about how they're undercooked, Martin Odegaard, come and get on the ball. I want him to do that more. Emil Smith-Rowe, I was calling for him to be in the starting lineup for these 2 games because I backed Arsenal to win these 2 games. I didn't consider how good Newcastle were going to be, and I forgot about. I thought the crowd would calm down a bit, but I think they're sort of drunk on hope. and good luck to him. Why not? But Emil Smith-Rowe comes into the team, and actually Emil Smith-Rowe ends up coming off, and Martinelli comes on, and Arsenal look a little bit better then after that, because I think he started Emil Smith-Rowe to give them that element of control, because if they have got that control and they work up the pitch and they're dominating the game, he's the kind of player you want, because he's got that intelligence, that ability to work into his little pockets of space. But if you haven't got control, he doesn't have that outrageous burst of pace at times like Martinelli does, and he's not a winger, and so you can't kind of get around it. So that question is, with that team that's there, and the injuries and the players that are unavailable, Holding suspended, Gabriel looked doubtful, was struggling, Tierney out, Thomas Partey unavailable for this game as well. And then just overall, the thinning of the squad, that's done for a good reason. That was done for the harmony of the squad. It was done for the next steps. Now, I'm getting to the point with Arsenal where it's like the problem that you've got here, and the difference was it was coming either way, but you would have had more credit in the bank, is for Arteta, who I've been very consistent. I like Arteta. I like him a lot. I think he's a smart guy. I think there's sometimes some of his soft skills and his ability with the media isn't as impressive as you would like it to be, but also, you know, the media are like sharks, so they're going to be after you. But I think he's stripped back to then move forward. They're going to have a really, really good summer because Spurs are going to get better. Man United can't get any worse. Liverpool, obviously, fantastic, and as are Chelsea and as are Man City. So for them to get into the Champions League, that's where I kind of, for all the goodwill I want to offer what is a very, very young team, they've underperformed when they really, really needed to. And exclusively this game, you can talk about that and go, well, hang on a minute, you know, like, don't go overboard. The problem is that you've got to go so far, Arsenal, to be a team that gets into the Champions League regularly and dominates these games. I was looking for more leadership, because I think there are leaders in there. I think Gabriel is a leader. I think Ramsdale is a leader. I think Tomiyasu in his own way is a leader. I think Odegaard, I'm waiting for it a little bit more. And again, I've said this a couple of times. These players, they need 150 games at this level. You know, like, and I think you see that with Saka a lot of the time, who had a tough game tonight as well. But absolutely everywhere over the pitch, they had no control. They look lethargic. They look just mentally spent more than absolutely anything else. And they were living in hope instead of belief. And when you're playing in a game like this against a team like this that is thriving right now, you need to have a little bit more than hope. And they just didn't have it. They were miles off it the entirety of the game. And getting to Newcastle, that's a really, you know, it's amazing what a few wins can do. Because you look at that team now, look at the spine of that team. You know, Bruno Guimaraes, you know, we called it early on the channel. You know, there's a video there. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. The one thing I did get wrong was that I didn't think he would score many goals, but he's been given that bigger license, and so he has scored those goals. So I'm happy to admit that I got that wrong. But all around the team there, you had a team with energy and mental energy as well, and excitement. And for Arsenal, I think they were fearful. And when you're fearful, that's where you need your midfield to get on the ball and help you move up the pitch. And I just felt like the midfield didn't really do that. Granit Xhaka obviously had to move into a back three near the end of the game as well. So there's so many factors in it. So exclusively this game, you don't want to pick it apart too much. Yes, it was rubbish, but Newcastle made them rubbish as well. You can see it from the momentum bar there. I've just shown you the passing stats as well. And as we go through the team, I think what's really exciting is you take Kraft out, you put Trippier in there. Callum Wilson coming back in was a constant threat in behind throughout. Alex Saint-Maximin had his moments at time, but again, more important than anything else, he was just a real threat. Joe Linton, this lad. I put him in my team of the year. And I'm pleased I did. Because De Bruyne then scores 4 goals and I look like a chump. But the work rate that he puts in, the great feet, the physicality that he offers as well, that driving run. Now the defence was poor in that area, but him popping up and working that left-hand side and getting those crosses in for the team and taking on that dual responsibility of the defensive work, but also getting forward and being a real attacking threat. He's just he deserves so much credit. Like, the man. And actually, I look at him now and I'm like, bloody hell. I kind of love you, Joelinton. You've really won me over. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal tonight. But throughout the team, I thought Callum Wilson had a really good game for the side. As I say, Bruno Guimaraes, unbelievable. Fabian Schär came off. Lascelles came on, looked good. Looked forthright, looked aggressive. I know he's had some tough times as well. Matt Targett, 7 out of 10. That is just what you get with him all the time. I mean, it's 8 out of 10 really, isn't it? Let's be fair. But just really, really steady performers there. But players that are energised, playing in a structure that they like, with zero pressure on them at all, and in a ground where people are excited as well. And it told. It really, really told. And I guess for both of these teams, it's going to be very, very interesting to see who has a better season next year and who has a better transfer window and who copes with the expectations rising. Because what is an absolute killer here is that if Spurs get there, and actually there is a silver lining, so stick with me, because there is a silver lining here for Arsenal fans. But what is going to happen is the picture will change going into next season. And the sort of thinness of the squad, which is actually an element of gluttony in this, right? Because you've actually spent a lot of money. You spent money on Ramsdale, Ben White. You spent money. So when you're going to we'll buy more, it's just like, well, fucking hell. Like, when are we just going to do that forever? I mean, yeah, probably. That's what the Dirty Six do. But it's a thin squad for a reason. So I get a little bit annoyed when people kind of go on about the thin squad. And because it is a fact, and it is a weakness, but I think it's a weakness for a reason. And you've got a 24, an average age there of 24. So these players are going to grow, and that's it in the end. At the end of the day, sometimes you've got to go, these are my guys, and we're going to try and grow this team together. But going into the transfer window, they do need 1 or 2, and it needs to be 1 or 2 that are really going to help impact the team, because I thought they looked a bit toothless up top as well, did so in the Spurs game as well. I think maybe sort of the adrenaline of Eddie Nketiah, especially against teams that are good sides now, and I consider Newcastle a decent side now. He's struggled in both of those games against them. Scored against Chelsea, to be fair. Did he score against Man United as well? Certainly was caused a bit of havoc there as well. So maybe I'm being unfair, and maybe it's a bit of recency bias with the fact that they've been completely toothless in this game itself. But going into next season, there will be the pessimists. The pessimists will go after Arteta. And I think he's earned the right to have next season, but the problem and the pressure will be on him because he will have more football to be played, he'll have harder competition, and the expectations will rise as well. But ultimately, that's what you want. So this is what I mean. I'm going in circles a little bit because, if you want to go and win these things, then you have to deal with new expectations. What I would say is, I wouldn't get too downbeat on this season because I think the signs of progress, both individually in terms of the development of the squad and the ability to have a foundation to then grow upon with new additions, are things to be really, really positive about when it comes to Arsenal. That said, they have thrown it away a little bit. And I think you're allowed to be disappointed. Here's your silver lining. Spurs have got Norwich. Now, that sounds like that's an easy win. But let me just say that again. And Spurs fans, you would have thought this. As soon as Arsenal have lost this game, the first thought that Spurs fans have gone, fuck, it's Norwich. Because, of course, you beat Norwich. We spend the rest of the week going, Spurs are in the Champions League because it's Norwich. Not going to lose to Norwich. But Spurs could lose to Norwich. So it's not over yet. I mean, because that tension will build. And Norwich, last game of the season at home, shouldn't win it. But they're playing Tottenham. And Tottenham fans will understand why I'm saying that. In terms of the expectations for Newcastle, I think it's in a different environment right now. There's obviously so much excitement. There's still a nice chunk of money there to be spent, clearly. But I think what's great is that whereas previously you would have gone, we need 6, 7, and yes, you've bought a few in, but you bought Dan Burn reasonable, Trippier reasonable, Matt Target reasonable prices, right? Another 3 players there with the continued good coaching of Eddie Howe. Something is happening there. So exciting times in Newcastle United. A great way for them to sort of finish their season at home. Arsenal fell apart. Really, really did fall apart. And what is got to be really painful is that you didn't have European football. And so something's not right there for you to have this many injuries. But maybe we're in 18 months' time, we'll be looking at the squad and we'll be looking at it and going, those are injury-prone players. So that's something to keep an eye on as well, because an injury here or there is one thing, but you need to be able to manage it. But maybe that comes back to the thin squad, and maybe I'm talking rubbish. I've slept 3 hours in the last 2 days. So I'm going to go. But if you could, subscribe to the channel. If you could, hit the notification bell. And if you could I nearly said stream. If you could like the video as well, that'd be wonderful. Now I'm off to go to sleep. Lots of love. Speak soon. Got a wicked video actually about the amount of money per point in the Premier League this season. It's going to blow your mind. Another reason to subscribe. I'll see you later.